Yeah, the question, I mean, there are certain questions in terms of the whole way that we, I mean, if we were really to examine our lives and in detail what we eat, where it comes from, there would be a lot of, we wouldn't be eating much. I mean, in a certain way, I think that's true. Some of us, at times, I'm sure, have felt that it would be great if we could live on the ether. And there are a few people that I've heard of who actually don't need to eat any material substance, who can actually kind of live off of that primeval milk, or really the ether forces. But that's not most of us. And I think you need to, first of all, try to know what it is that you do eat. Where does it come from? What are the real influences that that place has on the overall economy of the life in the earth? And there have been different studies done about grass-based farming and the impact of that. And basically in terms of gases, methane gases, or other global warming gases, the research that I've seen shows that it's actually positive impact that kind of pasture-based, grass-based farming has. However, if you look at the detail of that in terms of what, and that's why I was trying to characterize what our land is, and why I pointed out that actually this was forested land originally that our property is on, and at times I feel like if I had my way, just in terms of those kinds of concerns that you have, I would not be dairy farming there. I would be starting a forest, replanting a forest there. You know, and perhaps long term, that's what I will bring about. And if people here want to drink raw milk, maybe you'll find a better suited place in terms of the biome to get that from. Although I think the whole area here, you know, was really forest. And then, you know, the question comes about population, and, you know, that forest biome here was able to provide livelihood for the native population that was here before European settlement, but what kind of support would it provide for the people who are here? Do we want to see all those people leave the earth, or, you know, you come to those kinds of questions. I think another way to look at it, though, is that we do all have a reason for being here as people, and that we need to make the best use of who we are, and the fact that we are actually asking certain other life entities to sacrifice for us to actually be here at this point in time. And why is that? And what is the reason for that?
On that point, I'm sorry not to interrupt, but I've seen some of that research also. They say that a lot of the methane production is from feeding them grains,
yeah.
With the commercial farms like capos do. Mm-hmm. And if you reduce, there are actually studies that say if you would eliminate the grain feed, it would be the equivalent of taking millions of cars off the road, you know, because of the reduction in methane.
Plus the fact that if you have ground that's always covered with pasture or with woods, you're actually sequestering a lot of that gas and using it in a different way.
Most cattle is used for beef, for meat, more than for milk, I think. So.
In this country,
That is true.
Can you describe the process of actually getting the milk? In other words, you know, I always grew up with the idea that cow's milk was for cows, you know, humans for human. We're the only species that drinks another species' milk. And when I was in India, I would see how they would keep the calves away from the mother calves. It just seemed like a lot of suffering to me. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering what actually happens. How can you have extra milk?
Well, there's an old farmer's adage that a cow has 4 teats. One is for the calf, one is for the other farm animals who like milk, and 2 are for people. And the cow, especially modern cows, obviously through breeding partly, but I think even older breeds of cows that haven't been so intensively bred for milk production do provide an abundance of milk naturally. And that provision of milk is, first of all, based on being fed a rich enough diet that they can continue to do that without taking of their own substance to do that. But they will give those extra 3 teats to beings other than their calf. We do only feed our cows milk. We don't feed them any milk replacer. Of course, they come to an age where they can be weaned and eat hay, but before that age, they get our milk. They don't usually get it directly from the cow, usually because of the whole nature of milking the cow and how that works and how her production works with the calf on her. Without a calf, you need to take the calf off at a certain point so that you can milk the cow properly so that she doesn't get mastitis, which is an udder infection that cows can get if they're not being milked properly while they're producing the milk. And then that milk gets fed when it's very fresh back to the calves. That's all it does, a fourth of it roughly is for the calves that are still there needing milk. Now, the whole process of taking the calf from the mother, and whether that's a good thing to do earlier or wait until they would wean themselves naturally, we have been experimenting with having what are called nurse cows, who can actually nurse 3 calves at a time instead of 1. And for certain cows, that works quite well. Some cows don't want to do that, actually. We'll take the calves off and, just won't have anything to do with it. Cows are actually quite different in their temperaments.
Well, maybe 2 good things that we can learn from them. One is sacrifice, because they're sacrificing animals, and to give, because they're giving creatures.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about, or can you tell us anything about the use of manure to create fuel? Aren't there places that are doing that now?
Yeah, I mean, there are different ways to do it. Obviously, in some countries, they use actually the dried cow chips to do that and have for ages. In this country, that's not being done much. But what is being done in this country is like methane digesters that will capture methane from manure piles. Actually, one of the people that I have is a 1-year volunteer from Germany. He comes from a dairy farm family there, and they are building a methane digester on their farm. The drawback to that, though, is that it actually takes a key nutrient out of the manure that the soil needs. Because methane, once processed in a composting pile, provides a type of nitrogen, a certain form of nitrogen, which plants really do need to thrive, and that is taken out through the methane digesting process.